segueing to a more positive story. So as mentioned, we talked about earlier, starting a business, is it a great time to start a business now, or do you have to wait whether what do you call this, the economy, what do you call this, bounces back with the pandemic that's ongoing, or the resurgence of the COVID-19 cases here? Now, what such company as Swimply, who thought of an idea because of a need to start a business of all things. So, according to the article cnet.com, Swimply, the company, lets you swim in a stranger's pool, which is kind of weird, but we'll talk about it in a bit. It's less weird than you think. Well, for me, it looks weird because obviously in our country here, swimming pools is not commonplace here. So you have to really spend or go to a different location. Don't just go to your neighbor and, there's swimming pool access galore here. But anyway, uh, yeah, so obviously think of this in if you're in Austin, Texas. Obviously, if in the summer, temperature can reach as high as 100 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's pretty hot. Especially imagine in a pandemic, you're stuck at home, you have no option. So people are always looking for alternative ways to cool themselves. So one way, not just getting aircon, increasing your electric bills. Obviously, people are always looking for places to cool down, which is going swimming. But with the lockdown, with the restrictions and everything from last year, people are not allowed to do that. So here comes in a company that had thought, is there a big demand for these services that they can start a business out of it? So the company Swimply is an Airbnb style for servicing swimming pools, which was founded back in summer of 2018. According to what do I call this? Yeah, so it's just like you step into a stranger's pool, backyard pool, and enjoy the cool breeze. Now, the company was co-founded by two persons, by Asher Weinberger and Bonim Laskin. Hope I'm pronouncing their names properly. Anyway, who met at a networking event wherein Weinberger hosted an event for entrepreneurs in New York City. And then Laskin was a young college student back then, pitched to Weinberger the idea of monetizing home swimming pools. So they pursued the idea by looking at Google Earth for houses with swimming pools and knocking on doors if people would be willing to rent it out. Now, obviously, if you're a homeowner, now obviously there's risk and reward, but obviously in a pandemic, if you can earn an extra income, why not, right? There's no harm to it. So what they did was create a simple website and watched thousands of people visit Strangers Pool in just a few weeks. So there was a demand for those services, which is kind of weird because people are, the homeowners are in their houses, but other people, strangers, are swimming in your backyard. It's kind of weird. I don't know. Maybe they don't care as long as they get the enjoyment of cooling down in the hot summer breeze. Anyway, what's interesting here, the company is now available in all 50 US states, as well as in Canada and in Australia as well. So they've been hosting 500,000 users and about 13,000 pools. So that's a lot of houses with pools. So obviously, it only works for for uh, for for countries like that, for US and Canada and Australia, but for countries like us in the Philippines, it's not always the case because having your own house is one thing already. Being able to afford to build a pool in your own house, it's more on luxury rather than a basic need here, and you need to go to a resort to provincial areas to be able to access that, being able to swim. Anyway, obviously, there are risks associated if you wanted to invest on businesses like this. But what's interesting here, just like Airbnb, right? If there's a need, if you can offer monetary value to your consumers, in this case, to people who are dying to go out, whether it's your neighbor's house or somewhere near your house, there's always going to be an opportunity here. Now, what's interesting here, the pandemic brought about a huge wave of financial uncertainty, which what happened last year, right? But still, the company still experienced close to 5,000% growth year of year from 2019 to 2020. So despite that, now they turned profitable and attracted even more venture capitalists to invest in their company so that they can expand the business model here. Whether they could do that in other regions would be interesting there. Anyway, so they raised Series A a few months for as much as $10 million. So that's not chump change here, right? Anyway, so the question here is there a need, and they can provide that need, and they can connect the two, then you have a business out here. But obviously the question here is it easy to should you pursue this venture? Now obviously in different parts of the world, if you have access, if it's more affordable than rather than going to a swimming pool in a university or in a actual facility that you are limited to go there, then if it's more cost effective, then it makes sense. Even though it looks weird that you're in someone's houses, when you want to use the facility there. Anyway, so what's interesting here, they offer you several amenities. So typical like an Airbnb, you have hair dryer, TV, or washers, and you have lots of toys that you could use so you can enjoy yourself when you're swimming or inside the pool here. The question is, can you bring kids along? I don't think so, but maybe in their case they are allowed to. But anyway, so obviously the key here is if there's a need for those services, you know, grab the opportunity here. And if the business is growing, continue leveraging it. And obviously, what's the downside of doing this? Now, if I'm a homeowner, obviously there may be a risk of people ruining or damaging your properties. So obviously you have to protect yourself in terms of having insurance coverage in your homes. In particular, the app, I think Airbnb has that also. So not knowing who those people are actually, using your pool here, can you interact with them and so forth? It would be weird. Anyway, so it would be interesting, if we were able to have that here. And what's interesting, the company is going beyond not just pools. So they're going to expand into home gyms, home theaters, and private tennis courts, and even music studios here. So it's more likely it's becoming more Airbnb. So you're renting the entire home already here with different features there. So is it a good business for for our region here? Maybe not.